Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Monday morning, we're just framing away. We're adding a little bit of G-tape, some waterproof membrane tape to the tops of all of our framing. So I was a little wet this morning, so we couldn't do it. It dried out a little bit, so we're trying to get it on before it starts raining, and then, you know, gets all gnarly and won't stick and all that stuff. So Andy's doing that. Phil is adding some flat blocking in various places on the deck that we're gonna do a curved border for. So that's going down today. We're gonna create the shape of the outside of that deck right behind me. And then we'll probably do a little bit more blocking, and then we're gonna start framing this upper deck. That'll be next. So after every cut on every board that's pressure treated, we add end grain solution. I'm using a product called Q-Tech Extreme, which is a high quality stain and wood preservative, and it goes deeper into the board. A lot of people ask about our timber here, and it's called pressure treated hemlock, and it has a lot of incisions in it. That's called knurling. It forces the pressure treatment deeper into the board, but you can see that's how much of the treatment actually gets into the board, not a whole lot. So we got to make sure that you can see it's just barely getting into the board. They say to a refusal, but this board didn't get a whole lot. You can kind of see it's a little bit darker on the edges. But anyway, so that's why we always treat every single end grain cut with a really high quality sealer. Q-Tech Extreme, give them a follow. Check them out on Instagram. All right, so what we're focusing on right now is some flat blocking that we're running around the perimeter of the deck. And the reason we're doing that is because we have a alternate colored flat surface border that we're gonna bend into a curve, and that's being installed on the outside of the deck. And then we have all of our field boards that are gonna run into that board, and we have to have a place to put all the screws for all that stuff. So in my opinion, it's better to have a flat block where the curved board has a place to sit. We can put our screws wherever we want into this board, and has a nice place. It sits flat, looks really nice, we're good to go. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then we're adding a really long piece right now to finish off the outside of this deck. It's going to take us a minute to get to that, but that's kind of what we're working on today. So we got a lot done in 2 days on this job site, but now it's going to take us a little bit longer to get to some of the finesse work, and that's what we're doing right now. The stuff that's going to make the deck's shape and some of the art that's going into it. So it may not look like we're doing much, but we're actually creating space and curves in the places I've designed it for. All right, so what I did was I'm laying out the deck curve from the house. So the deck, we're allowed to build at 30 feet from the outermost point of the home. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a tape measure and I'm running it for my curve. So I don't have a 30-foot rigid piece of anything, and I'm not going to screw a bunch of boards together to make one. So I'm just going to use this tape measure and try to give about the same amount of tension around this circle so I can have a nice curve for the deck. Okay, so
what kind of fasteners?
The wall, the retaining wall that is existing isn't square to the house. It's not square to our deck, so we're building the deck square to the house, and that's why there's a pie-shaped gap going from tight from over here to about 3 inches over here because it's not square to the house. Phil's adding these Simpson brackets to the sides of our 4x6s, and it creates a positive connection from the 4x6 post to the 4x12 beam. So it's something we have to do to code to get everything to pass our framing inspection.
So usually we run into something that wasn't supposed to happen that happened, and on this particular 2x12 blocking, which is what we're going to cut the curve out of, the joists were wider than 11.5 inches wide, which is how wide the 2x12 is. So we're adding a 2-inch block onto the 11.5 inch wide 2x12, which will put us at 13.5, which is the same width as our joists bay are.
So right now I'm adding blocking to the outside of the deck to support a flat block. It's gonna be really wide to create the curve of the outside of the deck. So what that does is it supports our surface border, which goes along like this, our custom heat bed surface border, and then our field decking, which will be laid like this, and then it gives us a place to fasten those down to the deck as well.
How's the rain today?
Not so bad. We made it pretty much till like noon, maybe just a little bit before it started coming. And if it stays like this, it'll be all right. This is manageable. When it starts dumping more than this is when you get real wet, and the rest of the day is kind of rough, but so far so good.
Screw it all together. Getting around it's going to be a little tricky until we get it cut. We've got a lot of our blocks in. I've obviously cut some already. Now I'm cutting back another block. I'm just marking out this line so I can finish my cut. Andy, I'm cutting a little tiny wedge to put on the outside of this deck so that when we put up these pieces, they're flexible, right? They're gonna curve. It makes a nice flow and attaches nicely instead of having issues, which I know we'll have if I don't do this. Andy. So, see that? So that goes over here. Wow, that's pretty good. So now we have the complete arc of our deck, and now we can install these once I install this. All right, guys, thanks for watching. That's how we kind of set up a curve on the outside of the deck. We're really lucky to have these planks on the outside of the deck where we can stand. It makes it really nice for us to kind of finish up and do some really quality work. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified of when we're putting out new content, which is usually around 5 days a week, click that bell icon so you'll be notified when we're putting out new videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.